Well, it's an exciting day. After many delays, God's War has finally arrived at my house, and yeah, there's rather a lot of it. Now, this here is the core box, and it actually feels a little bit bigger than the Cthulhu Wars box, to be honest. Probably about the same depth, maybe slightly shorter, but obviously it's a much squarer format. So unfortunately my Cthulhu Wars is buried upstairs at the moment, so I can't actually do a direct comparison, but this is a hefty old box, and yeah, we need to get inside and have a look. But first, let's have a look at the back cover. Now, as you can see, actual size being carried over from the Cthulhu Wars idea. Yeah, I think the gods being this big is great, but again, I think the minis are sort of 28mm in scale. I think Peterson games, it's great in some ways they're doing that, but it does mean their games are taking up way too much space. You know, you almost need a room just for your Peterson games. It is getting a bit ridiculous, and I am having major storage problems, and I'm not actually sure where I'm going to be able to store this. But as you can see, you've got a map of Glorantha. You've got 4 empires built into the box, and then the expansions give you extra. And, you know, the Orlanthe Storm God is massive. You've got Yelm, is it Kaiga Litor, and then Chaos. Just ridiculous. Anyway, let's pop the box and see if it survived the shipping. On popping the lid, a little bit worrying, the things seem to have jiggled free. So we got the nice big map, and then we've got a load of tiles, which seem to be the main cause of all the kerfuffle. These little phase of play things are just thin card. A little bit disappointing, but not too bad. You've got the floating island, thin card for your victory track, some extra markers, the rule book, which is fairly decent soft cover. Glad to see the actual faction sheets are the sort of upgraded chipboard, heaven, hell, etc. And yeah, I'm worried already about how this is all going to go in the box. Then you've got your various faction bits and pieces. Obviously looks fairly well punched because chaos has caused chaos rather appropriately. There you go. The minis are just chucked into a big box, so they've not gone with quite the Cthulhu Wars insert. A load of dice, which I did some extras. These figures are ridiculously massive. Cards, which I guess are meant to go in there. Now here we've got the little bits for going on your player board. I forget what these are. I think they're probably ritual equivalents. Yeah, they seem pretty nice. They're a lightweightish plastic. Yeah, look pretty good, and I like the fact that Chaos has its own unique bit. So we've got our basic troopers. So we've got these like Chaos things. I'm not sure if they're brew, I can't remember. I haven't actually looked at the rulebook or God's War in Yonks, but yeah, they're looking very much like brew. Then we've got our Sun faction with the bows. These are, I think, Orlanthe Storm faction. I'm not 100% sure about this design. I like it, but yeah, I'd expect it to be a bit more Celtic. And then really fantastic Troll, although he does look like he could tip quite easily, but I think they did do some design to try and make sure. I think it should have a bit more weight on the back here just to balance it, but yeah, I think it's okay, but yeah, you have to be a little bit careful when placing it. And so there you go, you've got 4 of each, except for the brewy type guys, where it looks like we've got 6. Well, sort of next up in scale, I guess the trolls have this weird sort of wraith-like thing. Looks more like a chaos thing to me, so I'm not 100% sure. Is it meant to be a centipede thing? I'd have to double check. We've got sort of a phoenix bird for the Sun faction. Really nice. And then miniatures that I didn't like the look of in the photos. They're a little bit better in the flesh. These Storm Bull sort of guys for the Sky faction. yeah, they're okay, but they're my least favourite of the minis, I think. Anyway, you get 3 each of those. Not sure where the chaos stuff is. Maybe it's in the next bag. In the next bag, we've got this weird, chaosy, blobby, scorpion, gibbering mouth thing, very Cthulhu-esque. We have, is that Arachna Sodler or Kygalita in spider form? Or I can't remember, my Glorantha mythos is a little bit vague. And then this is obviously a bit more bull action. I much prefer this one. It's a shame about this little plastic insert, but there you go. I guess you need it to make sure it's resilient. We've then got sort of a dragon-y creature guarding a throne for the Sun faction, and then I believe this is actually Yelm the god, so he's got a sort of grinning face there and then a serious face there. Actually pretty nice, and then great big fire burst effect at the bottom. So yeah, not bad. I really do like this figure. As I say, it's just a shame about this insert. Would have been nice if they could have designed it, maybe have some clouds or something coming up from the base, so he was like riding down on a cloud to hide the fact that it's been supported. Gets away with it a little bit better on the spider, but again, those 2 figures, really great sculpts, but spoiled slightly by, I guess, physics. Now here we get into the real big beasties. Now this thing is big and weighty. As you can see, there's lots of little trollkin on the base. I think there's one being birthed out the back here. Yeah, pretty good. I think this is meant to be a bit of membrane. I thought it was a bit of flash at first, but yeah, it doesn't look too happy to be seeing you. Really great troll mini, that really heavy as well. This is a Broodmother. I'm not sure, is it? I can't remember her name now, but I love the squiggly base and the fact that like she's just tearing open her stomach, I guess, to let out disease and pestilence. Has this Baal? I can't remember the names. Anyway, this is a weird sort of backed creature. This is huge, by the way. Really, really big. And then the big boy himself, Orlanth, the storm god. I'm not sure which particular aspect of him this is meant to be. It's pretty good. There is unfortunately some joint lines. So yeah, overall, for board game pieces, these are great. For miniature gamers, you're going to need some green stuff and to paint them, and then they're going to look fabulous. And, you know, as I say, this is massive. I don't readily have a 28mm figure to hand, but, you know, talking about this sort of big, this thing is huge. It's several inches tall and pretty weighty, although, ironically, I think this weighs... yeah, this weighs actually a bit more than the Storm God. But yeah, really nice. So the minis, overall, big thumbs up. They're this weird sort of mix of soft but resilient sort of PVC plastic. I'm guessing if they get damaged, you're going to have to be using super glue. I don't think PVA is going to cut it. Although you might be able to fill in these gaps with PVA, I guess, if you're painting. But yeah, green stuff or milliput or something like that. Anyway, I've now got to work out how to put everything back in the box. But before I do that, let's just have a quick look at all those bits I yanked out to get to the minis. This is the Darkness and Chaos board. So we got Catastrophe, I Thought We Won, Embed, the Unholy Trio, etc. These are temples, which I will be replacing, I believe, with plastic bits in my Kickstarter extras. We've got Sky and Storm here, so Solar Energy, Weather Control, Insurgency, Storm and Darkness, so single combat, Spectral Form. Yeah, all looks pretty good stuff. This here looks pretty decent. It's punching out nicely, but yeah, as I say, putting it all away is going to be a bit of a pain. So you obviously got your 3 to 5 and 6 to 8 players there. Lovely piece of art on the back of the faction board, and here you've got the various bits with how much they cost, what they do in combat, any special notes, setup, unique ability, unique weakness, your power, your hero quest. So instead of being rituals or spells, it's hero quests, very thematically done there to tweak God's War to Glorantha. And then in the power phase and council phase, they get some special abilities. Then we got the Gribbly Chaos Horrible Things. So what are they? Yeah, they are brew. Okay, I thought they were. Lady of Disease, there you go. Malia, Magnamata Thed, and then the Mad God Raglanar, there you go. As I say, my Glorantha mythos recall, it's a bit vague. You know, I came across Runequest back in the 80s, and if you're not aware of Glorantha, started off as a sort of a mythic set-in, was used for Runequest 1 and 2, was an option for Runequest 3, it then became Hero Quest, which then became Hero Wars, which then became Hero Quest, which then became Hero Quest 2, and is now available as Hero Quest Glorantha. So if you're into role-playing games, you've got some great minis, and that's how, you know, I got excited about the Gods War in the first place. Anyway, yeah, so they're just calling it a barbarian rather than a tribesman or anything. Then we got the Sky God, so Yelm, and it is a phoenix. Oh, and the dragon with the thing is actually meant to be the Emperor, so that's pretty cool. So there you go, there's those bits there. Obviously, these are pretty good. First player marker, I believe I do actually have a Kickstarter sort of pre-order special mini to replace that. We'll find out when I do the extras. Victory Track, sadly, very disappointed thin card. I prefer it as the nice chipboard. The island is decent thickness. Then we've got the various phases of play and the Chaos Rift Struggle. Only 2 of those by the looks of it. So yeah, there you go. So that's a closer look at those. Let's have a quick look at the map, and then I guess I ought to have a read of the rulebook. Well, I'm actually having trouble filming this. We've got Brithos up here, Janart's Garden, Tishos, Krarolia, Gates of Dawn, etc. You could read all the names, and as you can see, it's pretty impressive. This is a huge map. Now, Janart's Garden and Tishos, that's the continent that is in the Runequest game as the main area of play, and I think Prax is somewhere around here, and Dragon Pass is probably around here somewhere. I can't remember exactly without going and checking a map. So this is set way back in the Gods era, so would it be the first age effectively of Glorantha? I'm sure there's loads of sages online who can correct my misinformation, but as I say, you know, I'm interested in Glorantha, but I'm not an absolute sage on it. Anyway, let's flip this over and have a look at the other side. Okay, so I believe the other side was 3-player, this is 5-player, so as you can see, slightly more faction space, whereas over here, this is actually the 3-player side, and as you see, I'm having real trouble, it's just absolutely massive. If I pull back so you get an idea, I mean, you're going to need a big table that can seat 6-ish people just to get this out on the table by the looks of it. I managed to squeeze everything back into the box. Sadly, I think the insert is probably pretty trashy. It looks like it's designed more for shipping than storage. I'm going to have to look, double check and get everything sorted. So this is how I've just chucked it all back together for now. And obviously I best grab that to have a read of that. But yeah, it's 120 pages, but I'd imagine it's not actually that difficult to play. It's effectively going to be the same as Cthulhu Wars with some tweaks, and it looks like they've included all the expansions and extras, etc., which is why it's such a big rulebook. So they've learnt a bit from Cthulhu Wars. This is effectively like your Omega rulebook, but for the Gods War. Just having a quick peek at some of the Kickstarter extra boxes. Now this huge box here seems to be all the 3D components to replace the temples, etc. from the base box, and that is a heavy bag, and these are ridiculously large, and I'm just a little bit concerned that when you put these out on the board, are you going to end up with the problems you have with Cthulhu Wars, where things get too crowded. But anyway, this is all just first impression. I'm just basically quickly grabbing the boxes, having a quick peek. I'm going to have to actually have a sit down. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to read the rulebook in depth till next week, because I got stuff I'm preparing for this week, which unfortunately means I've got limited time to drool over this. So next week, I'm going to have a really good look at Gods War. So this is just a quick impressions video. Anyway, let's move on to some other boxes. Okay, well, this box here is Arachna Solara, as you can see, pretty cool. Done a reasonable job at hiding the little insert to stop her being too fragile, and she's over a map. Not sure if you can see that, a map of the planet, because obviously it's a square lodging floating in space, because why wouldn't it be? And there's a little vortex in the middle there. She's a cosmic monster, and she's got some webs by the looks of it. I'm not sure if I've got 3D components for that, or if it's just these rather nice looking tiles actually. I will just comment that this shipping box is ridiculously oversized and not very good at actually protecting the mini, but it's a pretty robust figure, so probably get away with it. But yeah, that's a bit weird. This box here is just for some little posters. I'm not going to bother unwrapping them, but just so you know that, yeah, you could have got posters in the Kickstarter. Now, I've actually got 2 extra sets of dice. I can't remember if it's because you got 1 set free as a Kickstarter backer and I ordered another set, or whether they're different colours. Let's find out. Well, as you can see, they're not. They're basically blank dice with a pain and a kill marker. So yeah, there you go. Slightly different look to the Cthulhu Wars ones. I'll just get a dice out so you can have a look. But due to it being a dark red on black, it's actually quite hard to see. So you've got blank face, 2 broken swords, and then whatever that's meant to be, a sword through a heart maybe. So I'm guessing that's a kill, 2 pains, and then a blank side. And I believe, yeah, it is just two swords. I hope that's shown up on the camera. It's a little bit easier to see in real life versus the camera, but yeah, red on black or red on dark blue, not the best colour combo, to be honest. Now here we have a totally superfluous extra Storm King, but he looks a bit different, and I'm guessing glow-in-the-dark version, so totally unnecessary, but yeah, nice to have, I guess. This massive box here is, as it says, the Empires. It's a little bit rattly, so I think things have come loose in shipping. Anyway, so as you can see, we've got the Blood Goddess, and then a huge Emperor, I think. Some extra Empires, so yeah, gonna be a big one, this one. And while I'm ragging on Peterson Games, these boxes are different heights, they are about the same width, and they're different depths, so shelf stacking is going to be a pain. I'd much rather this box have been designed to be exactly the same size as this box, but there you go. Anyway, let's get inside. Well, the first thing you'll notice, we've got a new set of maps, looking even bigger than what came in the base box, I'm guessing for the extra players. We've got more faction tiles, is that 3 sheets worth by the looks of it. A new marker, so the Earth faction, the Sea faction, the Moon faction, Boo, Hiss, Chaos Lover, the Invisible God, then the Earth Queen, so what's that, Ezrolia is it? And a box that's hard to get out. Let me have a look. Okay, well, this is jammed in really tight. I don't know if you can see, there's basically no clearance around the edge, and I'm worried about damaging my box. And I think by the sounds of it, the figures are just loosely rattling around in here. So potentially I'm going to be ditching this box and then just chucking the figures in loose. A little bit disappointing. If you think I'm being harsh on Peterson Games here, well, I am. I've had to wait for this game, what, 3 years? And there's lots of all sorts of things, like all the boxes are different sizes. The inserts aren't very good. However, before you think I'm beating up on them, am I disappointed? I don't think so. The quality seems pretty good, and I know the gameplay is going to be great. So just bear that in mind if you think I'm being a bit negative. It's just these little criticisms that, you know, this is a premium product, and you're expecting to get what you pay for, and that just these little touches would just lift, I think, this game from being, you know, a great game to like just like why don't you have this in your collection? It's amazing. Yeah, I finally managed to get the box out. Here we go. I think this is the Air faction. You got this sort of flax or hand axe, whatever, wielding guy, a wizard, a weird airy thing. Yeah, they're pretty cool. So these are These are 28mm, just bear that in mind when we see the next faction. So we've got the Moon faction, so we've got our priestesses, we've got these burning faces of the goddess, really like those, they'd paint up great I think. We've got the bat, the chaos bat, boo hiss, just to give you an idea of scale, sort of 28mm figure. And then the red goddess herself, she's a bit big, but then again she does live on the moon, and yeah, she's pretty impressive. A little bit of hot water I think is going to be needed on this bit here, bit of a shame that's all bent, but you know, that's the problem with this PVC stuff. Then we got our little mermaidy people, pretty cool. They're some really cool sea serpents actually, I like those. Then we've got this rather large, weird, chaosy thing, but what I love is this kraken, which is like a nautilus meets the watcher in the water, really cool. Then a funky faction, so let me get all these figures out of the way and show you what is the Earth faction. So the Earth faction here, we got a pretty cool priestess. Then I can't remember the ability, but as you can see, you've got a green base and then a coloured top. So I think this is where you've like converted other factions to your cause. As you see, there's 7 different colours here, because obviously green is the 8th faction. Then you've got this really cool sort of dinosaur figure. That is great. And just to give you a sense of scale again, 28mm figure, effectively enormous, but not as enormous as these ridiculous fellas here. There's 2 of them. Didn't know there was 2 of them. I knew there was 1 of them. So there's this guy here with his double-handed axe, and then this guy here. It's just amazing, this sort of alligator snake lower half. Bigger than the Storm King, I think. Just, well, yeah, amazing figure. And yeah, my temporary storage solution. Okay, so everything's back in the box. Yeah, apart from all this stuff. So gonna have to tip all these figures out, put this in, chuck the figures on top. I'm not sure I want to put that damaged cardboard box back in. It was so hard to get out that the lid just ripped to try and get it out. It does make the box a bit sturdier. This box is a little bit flimsy without it, but I think I'm going to have to design an insert. I do have some foam core kicking around somewhere, and then that will take care of this. So yeah, another strike against God's War. Sorry, Peterson Games. I've got to show the warts and all. It's just an irritation that these minor little errors are here after years of waiting. Well, mission achieved. Everything's back in the box for now until I build my insert. Okay, well, next up we've got the Elder Races. So these, I believe, give you a stupid giant. I mean, look at that. Dragons, and then we got some weird, funky people. This person's very, very odd. And then a slightly out to scale boat, I believe. Well, inside here you've got your gifts, your little purchase things. So you've got Dragon Newts, for example, the giant, the weird lady, some extra bits and pieces, and buried in the bottom here, a couple of tokens. So yeah, let's have a look at the minis. Well, here we go. So we've got the dwarves, who are very secretive mechanical beings. The elves, who are, I believe, actually made out of plants. They're a bit more like dryads. The drillets, or ducks. Fantastic. A lot of people take the mickey out of Howard the Duck and then regret it, particularly if he's a worshipper of Humkant, the god of death. I might mispronounce that, but yeah, don't mess with the ducks. Then we got Dragon Newts. Now, I'm not sure, is this an early or later form? Very sort of Aztec-y. Then, obviously, nice leaping guy, and there is also a Dragon King, which is a great big figure. Fantastic. Then we've got these humans type guys throwing spears. These guys here, scorpions, so they're pretty cool. The dragon boat's pretty cool, pretty heavy actually. Then this weird creature that sort of walks backwards, very, very odd. I forget the name of this person. And then the pretty cool giant. Now, bearing in mind the size of a dwarf, which is sort of scaled for 28mm, he's pretty good size, this giant. Yeah, and he's got a nice tree club. Fantastic. Let's have a quick look at the card here. So you've got your Dragon Newts, your Scorpion Folk, there you go, Maidstone Archer, the Slargs or Reptile Folk, the Giants, the Boggles, the Ducks, the Watagi Dragon Ships, the Elves or Aldrami, Dwarves, Mastala, the Vadali, okay, and then the Luthians. So there you go. And there's only 3 boxes left now. We've got the Dragons, the Chaos Monsters, and the Cosmic Monsters. And as you can see, they all blend together to create this rather lovely triptych. Unfortunately, it does mean another size box, but at least these ones are all the same size, and I'm running out of table space. Inside this box, we have a black dragon, a red dragon, and a brown dragon. The dragons in Glorantha are meant to be enormous. These are pretty decent sized and not bad sculpts. I must admit, I rather like the red dragon. That's pretty cool. What about the brown dragon? Oh, he's nice and interesting, no base design. That's pretty cool, and he's got multiple legs as well. This bit here is obviously your reward, and then you've got the little faction cards. So yeah, oh dear, one-handed filming. Okay, yeah, this obviously a little bit loose. Not a bad insert. Minis look fabulous. Yeah, great. If I remember correctly, in the lore of Glorantha, a bit like sort of Discworld dragons, actually, they can dream and take form in the real world, and they should be pretty terrifying. So it'll be interesting to see how hard they are to kill. But of course, you are playing with gods potentially, so should be relatively okay. Let's swap that around. There you go. That's going to be better when I pack that away. Right, let's have a look at the Chaos Monsters then. I think these tiny, tiny little fellas are my favourite thing. They're like little dragon snail type things. You get quite a few of them. 6, is it? They're pretty cool. We then got this weird 3-headed god thing, which is quite freaky. Quite like that. Then my second favourite mini, which is huge. Look at this beast. I mean, that is right weird dragony thing. And then the Mother of Monsters, which is even bigger and weighs an absolute ton. This giant sort of weird toothy thing. Fantastic. Anyway, you do get some rewards. So the Sky Terror, Quim, and Mother of Monsters. Yeah. And that doesn't quite fit back in the box, but there you go. Anyway, let's move on to the final box. So we're now going to look at the Cosmic Monsters. That is it. Once I've done with this, that will be, as far as I'm aware, everything available for God's War. Well, first out of the box, we've got this huge pile of dead being stood on by this half-man, half-woman creature. Now, I believe this is androgynous, or andrios. Yeah, it's a pretty epic figure, and all these dead people are sort of 28mm scale. Then, sadly, out of scale, but absolutely awesome, the Juggernaut. As you can see on the bottom, there's a city. Oh, actually, maybe you can't. There you go. As you can see, these are city-sized skyscrapers getting crushed, and look at that detail with the track. Oh, I mean, that's just brilliant. So this is a giant city that just randomly rolls around crushing things. Glorantha is great, you know, ducks, giant walking buildings. And then this Leviathan is fantastic. So I'm really pleased to have ended up on this box because I like all 3 of these sculpts. My least favourite is probably Andros or Androgynous, whatever. Juggernaut, amazing, sadly out to scale, but to make it to scale, it would be, well, ridiculous. I mean, if you imagine this here with these little buildings being sort of 2 inches tall, that would give you a sense of how big this would have to be. It would be ridiculous. Absolutely amazing. Brilliant, brilliant. There you go. So having whinged a bit about various aspects of the game, you might think I'm not a fan, but yeah, I'm really pleased to finally have this. As I say, I know the gameplay is going to be great. I think some of the insert choices, like this, doesn't, well, just about fits, I suppose. It doesn't really fit particularly great in. So there is still a bit of research development needed, I think, for the inserts. A lot of these inserts, I think you're best just chuck in, create your own either 3D printed or foam core ones. And storage is a massive, massive problem, as I say. So if we just quickly sweep for the madness, that is God's War. Takes up quite a lot of room, maybe not quite as much room as God's War with Onslaught 1, 2 and 3 added to it, but bigger than God's War plus Onslaught 3 maybe, let's say. Anyway, now I've got to pack all this away, and I've also got a load of baggies that, you know, I'm not using right now, just chuck the figures back in the box. So a lot of cleanup to do. So that's just been a quick unboxing just to show you, you know, everything that there is. And finally, I'm pleased to say that God's War is arriving in people's hands. I think people in Australia have had it for a while. I'm glad Peterson Games can put this episode behind them. I believe there was some problem with a factory in China and moulds disappearing and all sorts of controversial stuff. And then there was a shipping hold up. Should have got this a few weeks back. But yeah, I got a notification yesterday, I think, and it arrived today. So good stuff. So thumbs up. Well done, Peterson Games. I have criticised some bits. Take that on board if you are going to do a second Kickstarter. Maybe upgrade some of the components. And please, please, please avoid this sort of maddening box size difference. It's maybe a little bit sort of OCD, shelf stacking, complaining, but it makes a difference. If you can stack your games safely on a shelf, they keep much better, and, you know, avoid dinks and all sorts of, you know, like pressure marks on the lid. Anyway, yeah, as I say, got to get reading of the rule book. I might come back to this game in a later video, but as I say, I'm pretty busy now till June, so I've got a few videos in the pipeline to do, but they're all pushed back into June. But I had to do this because this literally just arrived, well, I don't know, an hour ago tops. So I've ripped everything open and given you a quick peek inside. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. So until the next one, happy gaming.